We want to build a community and share other women's stories. Hi, everyone, and welcome to the She Who Leads podcast. Today, we've got Rachael Sepcic, who is the Chief Revenue Officer at Illumia, with us, and we are talking about personal brand, an amazing subject and one that we've not yet talked about. So, Rachael, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you, Terry. I'm so excited to do this with you today.
We always start with a bit of an opener on you. So if you don't mind just sharing a little bit of career history, but also just anything else you think that's worth adding to introduce yourself.
Absolutely. So let me just start with some personal information. So, born and raised in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, but I've spent time in Michigan, Washington, D.C., and now live in northern Wisconsin in a cabin. I have a great husband and three grown children. And as you mentioned, I have the pleasure of being the Chief Revenue Officer at Illumia. And I have a very interesting story on how I came to this position, not the typical path.
I love that. Do you want to share a little bit more around that?
Absolutely. So I like to classify it as I took the scenic route, but it truly shaped everything in my career. So I started out as a seatbelt engineer at Ford Motor Company, not what a typical chief revenue officer starts with in their career. And
No.
although I loved engineering and I loved the technical details, I realized that there wasn't enough human interaction and collaboration in engineering that I wanted. So I made a bet on myself. I had an opportunity as a trailing spouse to redefine myself, and I jumped into sales. I jumped into sales at IBM, where I was promoted through sales leadership for a course of 20 years. And then things changed. I had an opportunity to join Blackboard and lead the Transact business. This actually created one of the most formative experiences in my career. I was part of a business where we carved out and we sold to a private equity firm. So that Transact business was sold to a PE firm, and I
Okay.
was part of that due diligence process. And then years later, I was at the table again when we went through the full sale process to a public company.
Wow.
So what was really cool about it was the due diligence, the narrative building, the whole pressure of the process, and living it from both sides. It gave me a completely different lens on how businesses are valued, how leadership teams are evaluated, and what it actually means to build something that's worth acquiring.
Mm-hmm.
So 18 months ago, when that sale process of Transact was completed, we were acquired by Roper Technologies, and
Okay.
we were merged with another Roper portfolio company and a player within our space, Seaboard. So with the merger of Transact Campus and Seaboard, I was appointed Chief Revenue Officer. But that wasn't it.
Amazing.
Less than a month ago, we rebranded this combined company as Illumia. And
Okay.
so grateful for the experiences I had during my career. I think the thing that I'm so blessed about is that it was full of intention.
Mm.
Every role was a choice, wasn't a coincidence. And I actually attribute that to the claiming of my brand, which I think we're going to talk about today.
I love that. For those that don't know Illumia and the prior businesses, just share a little bit more around what you do.
Mission-based company is the way I love to describe it. So we're a software provider. We provide software solutions that help with patient care and feeding, campus identification, security, commerce, food service, and payments. So we offer a foundation level of products, and we serve higher ed and healthcare to keep them running so that those institutions can focus on their real missions.
Amazing. That's great and very mission led. That's so true. So just on the conversation topic then for rebranding and obviously this move to Illumia, what has that looked like? How has it been? It's very, very new, right? This was really recent.
Yes, we actually unveiled our new name and our new logo 2 weeks ago at our user conference. Uh, Beautiful colors, beautiful brand, lot of hard work. Like, I
Yeah.
don't wish a rebrand, a naming of a new company on anyone. I'm fortunate that I did it once, but that's it. Only one time for me.
Yeah, it's there's a lot that goes into it, right? Especially in terms of on the back end and what that means for everybody internally as well, I imagine.
It is. And I think that it's not just cosmetics. It's not just the legal process. To me, I think it was really about having honest conversations about who we are and who
Mm,
we wanted to be as a unified company and really honing in on that clarity. And so, a lot of reflection. The Illumia name is really about clarity and illumination and forward
yeah.
momentum. And it's kind of ironic because that's exactly what a rebrand process is all about.
Did it come off the back of the merge? Is that where the part like the purpose behind it came from?
It did. It did. We spent a lot of time looking at what the two companies did and how we served our clients. And that really became the foundation as we set up our mission, our values, and led us to come up with some names.
Mm-hmm.
Illumia wasn't our first choice,
Okay,
meaning that
interesting.
the process took us 18 months to find what stuck, what really resonated with who we are and where we're going. And so it took a time, and I think that's important. I don't think it's a decision that should be rushed. We are very, very excited about the new brand. I think
Mm.
it unifies the company, it unifies our client set, and it really just sets us forward on a new journey together.
Did you all decide as a business? How did you all come up with the name? Did you put it out to the your employees? What was the process?
We did. We actually put it out to our employees. We put it out to our clients. We took all of that input. We also used an outside marketing firm to help us synthesize all that data and understand based on who we are, where we're going, the input to come up with a brand new name. And so we stress tested it a lot.
Mm.
And that was just the name first. And then the second part of
Yeah.
it was the logo, the colors, all of the follow-on information came next.
And the colors are not pink and purple. They are
They're cerise and plum.
love it. I love
Yeah.
it.
Yeah.
Um, it must have been a big thing. I love the name Illumia, by the way. I think it's really cool. What do you think that means for you as a business now moving forward?
So I think what this means for us is that we have claimed our new name. We've claimed what we stand for. And I think that anytime that you look at something this important, you have to have that reflection and courage and true honesty. It's now setting us on a pathway where we've claimed ourselves. We've said what we're going to do and what we stand for. And I actually believe that this claiming of the brand is especially important, not only for companies, but also for women as they navigate their careers.
I love that. And obviously, we're talking about personal brand today. Do you think where you work and how you feel about that brand impacts your personal brand?
I do. I do. I think as I relayed in my story, I made intentions to join organizations that I did. And I
Mm.
believe that my personal brand absolutely played a role in those decisions. And so I think we gravitate to organizations that align with our brand and align with our mission and our purpose as we go through our careers.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely.
I love that. Just for the purpose of the audience, what do you mean by personal brand?
Love this question. So, personal brand is how you show up consistently. It's your reputation, it's your energy, it's how you make others feel. But the tagline on this one, Terry, is it's what people say about you when you're not in the room
Yeah,
or you're not in the meeting. That is your personal brand.
it's mic drop. right? That's like the bit that people don't think about. I don't think it's one of those things where you're like, oh, I actually hadn't thought about that,
Yeah, and I can
especially as you go up
recall
your career, I think.
that's absolutely right. And I can recall multiple examples where opportunities were presented to me because of my brand. Leaders knew how I would react in certain situations or how I would handle a new opportunity or position. They knew my consistency. They knew what they were going to get from me. So they would get my brand. They would know how I would deliver. And so, what's the story that people
Mm,
are going to tell about you when you're not in the room, when you're not in the meeting, when you're not present?
I love that. So obviously thinking about She Who Leads and we're very much female led. How can women in particular focus on building their personal brand?
So I like to call it the claiming process. You've heard me use the word claiming quite a few number of times so far. And I think we claim it in three ways: define, differentiate, and deliver. And what I mean by that is number one, which is the part that is sometimes the hardest, is defining your strengths. Number two is what differentiates you? What is your uniqueness? What's that combination of things that makes you differentiated from everyone else? And then finally, it's delivering. It's delivering on that brand consistently, no matter if your environment is challenging or you're dealing with difficult situations, you have to deliver consistently. And so going back to defining Illumia, that's exactly what we did.
Mm.
It's the same process in my mind, whether you're defining a brand of a company or a brand personally. It's really defining, differentiating, and delivering consistently.
I love that. So the three Ds,
Mhm.
good way to remember it.
Yes.
And you're a mentor, right? And I know that you talk about this a lot. What, like, typically, how do you portray that with your mentees?
So I have to say that one of the most exciting parts of my career is all of the women that I've walked alongside. Just incredible, incredible women. And I feel like after doing this for as many years as I have, I've seen a pattern over and over again. And so when I have the opportunity to mentor and sponsor women, which I do frequently, I sit down with them and I one of the first things I ask them is, what makes you, specifically you, irreplaceable at work? And what I get almost all the time is this pause. Sometimes people will deflect, not really answer the question. Sometimes they'll list all the things that their teams have done, not their own. Sometimes folks will feel a little uncomfortable or smile. And because what I believe after doing this many years is that most women are not claiming what is already theirs. They're not looking at their impact, their results, their ideas, the things that makes them irreplaceable. It's just sitting there unclaimed.
It's amazing. I'm literally just smiling at this because you just think it's so true that
Mhm.
we do deflect. And I think don't I'm just like, how many times do you actually just sit and think about what those things are as well? And it's probably something that's good to get in a habit of doing every 12 months or so, right? You grow, you change, you've done more that year. You probably forget over time all of the different things that you've done unless you're really thinking about those things as well. So I love that as just like a pause for thought too. Like, what are you good at, but also how comfortable are you are talking about it? So I guess that's the next bit, is like actually the owning it.
That's right. And this is where we go into the three Ds. First one, define. And
Yeah.
I will ask folks ruthlessly look at your strengths. Honestly, tell
Mm-hmm.
me what your strengths are, not your job description, not what you think you should say,
Mm-hmm.
but where are those moments in your career where you were undeniably themselves, where their fingerprints were all over the outcome? Find the pattern. We name it, we talk about it out loud because I actually think saying it out loud allows you to claim it versus just thinking about it, but just actually telling someone, this is my brand.
I love that. Okay. And then what's next?
So, second is differentiate. And then this is where I really push and say, what it's a harder question now, like, why you? Because, like, you can answer, my brand is X, and many other people could say the same thing. And the differentiation in my mind is where it's a specific, distinct combination of things.
Mm,
That's the differentiator. It's not what you're good at. It's that combination of things when you put it all together, that is you. And most people know it, like we talked about intuitively, but they just haven't said it and they haven't put the combination of characteristics together that creates that unique brand.
hmm. Okay. So you thought about it, you've defined it, and then you know what's you. How are you then working on the delivery of it? Because I think that's probably the hard part, right? The consistency.
It is. It is. I mean, let's face it, we're all faced with difficult environments, challenging days, difficult people maybe to work with, but you need to show up consistently the same way all the
Mm,
time. You got to deliver it. And so, in the problems that you volunteer for, or how you introduce yourself, in the narrative that you build over time, you have to deliver consistently and stop waiting for people to notice and start making it impossible to
hmm.
miss. And
Hmm.
that is the delivery aspect of it.
Where did you learn this?
That's a great question. I think I learned it just over time. I think as I've gotten different assignments and I've learned on the job, I've had that opportunity to really put this framework together. I also think that I have had some great sponsors and mentors over the years. And what I think I learned that was an interesting concept is that women who get opportunities like the stretch opportunities, the sponsorship, the promotions are
Mm,
rarely the most talented or smartest in the room. I wasn't. Like, I'm not the most talented, the smartest person in the room. But what I was consistent. I claimed my brand and everyone knew exactly what they were going to get from me. And that to me speaks louder than being the smartest, being the most talented. It's really just being comfortable with the brand that you represent, being differentiated, and then delivering that all the time.
and do you think this personal brand has to be a big showcase on LinkedIn? Or is it really all of these conversations that you have in boardrooms or in meetings? Like what does that mean to you?
It doesn't have to be something that is showy or in your face. I
Mm-hmm.
believe it shows up in the subtle ways that we present ourselves every day. It's the one-on-one conversations that you have with someone on your team or a peer. It's giving feedback to somebody or presenting in a board meeting or being part of a due diligence process. It's being that consistent force and demonstrating that brand in those moments because people will remember those moments. They're going to remember how you've made them feel in those situations. They will see when you show up or when you deliver the results. And so I don't believe, and I've never been the type of person that likes to showcase who I am. I believe it's those subtle moments, but you have to be bold about it and you have to be consistent about it so that it doesn't get lost.
Yeah, I love that. I've actually got an amazing young female on my team. And she said to me on Monday, it was recent, she was like, I don't really care for these social media posts. I don't really feel anything about it. And I was like, it doesn't have to be through that. It's more just what you're known for. Um, so yes, it resonates even with the younger generation. I think more and more people are probably shying away from social media versus towards it. So yes, I love this whole premise of like really what do you want to be known for? And
It's those personal connections, it's those
yeah,
human interactions that are sort of coming back around, so to
yeah,
speak. And that's where you can deliver that consistent, defined, and unique brand is in those
yeah,
personal human moments. Not saying that you don't deliver results and things like that. It happens in all of those moments, whether it's
yeah.
one-on-one, in a group setting, meeting, etc.
Exactly. So let's talk a little bit about your personal brand, Rachel, because I love the way that you describe it in terms of how you think about it in three ways. So do you want to just talk about that for us?
Yes. So before we do that, let me just say the only reason why I'm sharing my personal brand with you is because I want you to have a framework. I want our
Yeah.
listeners to have a framework on how to do this. I'm not one to boast about myself. That is not part of my brand. So I would just say take this as a sample or a model so that when you leave this podcast, maybe you take a few moments and you think about it. And so that's
Mhm.
really what I'm trying to stress by talking through what my brand is all about.
I love that. And we don't think you're boasting. Also, you don't have to clarify that. Like
Yeah,
the
that's
whole
true.
purpose of
That's
this
true.
is about that.
That's true. So I have bucketed because I'm a person of threes. My team, it's a running joke with my team. Like I do everything in threes. Could be because I have three children. It could also be because I think that's all a person can remember. So everything I do, I try to bucket into threes. So with that in mind, I'm going to talk to you about how I think, how I connect, and how I show up. And so this could be a great framework that works for our listeners as well in
Mhm.
sort of bucketing your brand into those three categories. So, how I think, I prioritize relentlessly. I believe that progress over perfection is very important. My team gets sick of me saying that, but there are times where perfection is not needed. We just want progress. And there's a distinction that I come back to constantly. It's the circles, what I can't control, what can I control, and what can I influence. Knowing the difference of those three circles will save you enormous energy. So I always think about those circles, and that allows me to choose my battles wisely. So perfection doesn't always win the race, and really understanding where I can control and influence, knowing what battles I can pick, that actually moves the needle. And I actually think that some of the people that prioritize the best are working moms. Like they have
100%.
mastered,
We have no choice.
that's right. They absolutely mastered this skill out of necessity. It's
Hmm.
exactly like you said, Terry. You have no choice. And so
Hmm.
working moms, they are epic at this skill.
Yeah. Also, I have one child, not three. Like, hats off to you.
Oh, well, thank you. Thank you. I also believe in this whole concept of how I think that preparedness is a form of respect. This one is very personal for me. As you heard, I came up through engineering. I'm in technology sales, and they're male-dominated
Mm.
environments. And so where I learned quickly, as far back as college, is that how you show up matters. And I prepare not because I'm trying to impress myself. I want to earn the right to be heard. And
Yeah.
everyone, whether you're male or female, should earn the right to be heard. The funny thing is, somewhere in my 33 years of marriage, though, my husband also taught me this advice, and I still use it every day. Net it out. Know your point and say your point first, then explain and give all the details. This is so much my brand. And like I said, I learned it through my education and career, learned it with my husband. People like to hear that bottom line up front, and then you can give them all the details. It really makes a difference in how you present yourself.
I really love that. Also, 33 years. Wow. That's
That's
very
great.
impressive.
Thank you.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
And then obviously the last one being how you show up.
So, how I connect is the next one. So, how I lead, I lead with
Yes.
empathy. And so, I've never apologized for it. Influence, I believe, happens across boundaries, and you cannot lead people that you don't understand. So, I learn what it's like to walk in their shoes. I also think it's important as part of my brand that you understand your audience. Many times we present, but we're not really thinking about who's listening to us. Emotional intelligence. I don't think that is a soft skill. I think it's actually a very powerful executive tool. I think it's critical in leadership. My brand also consists of being a servant leader. I know that my success only comes if my team is successful. So my
Mhm.
job is to remove barriers for them. And I'm never above getting my hands dirty alongside the people that I lead. I think that matters. And then finally, I would say, empowerment and gratitude. Empowerment means trusting the people enough to let them own it. The moment you take something back, when you take ownership back, you haven't just taken the task away, you've actually removed their confidence. And on gratitude, I think it's important to practice that deliberately, celebrating others, expressing appreciation. As we talked about earlier, Terry, people will forget what you say, what you did, but they will never forget how you make them feel. So that is how I would encapsulate my brand on how I connect.
I love that. And just all the bits around leadership, how you actually think about the person and what matters to them. That it's so true how you're connect, even if you're just winning a new customer, right? It's you're still, you, as you say, you prepare, you get to know them, like that. Things come through relationships and being authentic. I think a lot of that comes from
Absolutely.
that. So this
Absolutely.
one is how you show up. Point three.
Yeah, that's right. So communication for me needs to be clear, direct, and transparent. I think it's important to explain the why. People don't
Mm-hmm.
just need to know what's happening, but they need to know why it's happening. And that context, once they have it, creates a stronger bond of commitment. As I told you earlier, I communicate everything in threes for the reasons I mentioned. That's all that people can remember. And I believe in balance, not as a luxury, but as a discipline. I think strong leaders should not swing wildly in their moods. Steadiness is a very strong competitive leadership advantage. And finally, if I had to only pick one piece of my brand, that combination of characteristics, it would be this one. It's attitude and energy. This one is so non-negotiable for me. Energy is absolutely contagious. And I work hard, and sometimes it's challenging. Well, I'll say yesterday was challenging to stay calm under pressure. Panic and anger are also contagious, and that helps no one. So I believe choosing joy deliberately every day, especially on the hard days. I believe passion is super intentional. You have to decide to bring it. How you walk into a room, how you walk into a meeting sets the temperature for everyone else in it. And I choose that as a personal commitment. And so that's how I would bring all of my
Mm-hmm.
characteristics together, that special combination, all of them intentional, all of them claimed. And I would say all of those combined are uniquely mine. And so I think the challenge to our listeners is what are yours?
I love that. I need to go and write all of mine down. Also, the energy thing, I think when the world is kind of slightly upside down and it's just so tough, right? To always have that switched on. Um, and so I love that that's something that you're mindful of because I think sometimes it's very easy to forget.
I agree. I agree.
How has this rebrand linked with your personal brand? We kind of talked about it a little bit, but obviously becoming Illumia, it put a point that then it's put you as the chief revenue officer of this business. So what does that mean for you? Tell us a little bit about that.
So I think it's the same process. And I think we started the work. Now it's all about that third piece, which is delivering. So we defined it, we identified what makes us differentiated as a company. And now that that work is done, as you said earlier, Terry, the hard work is now delivering on that. And that means delivering not only to our clients, but to our employees and to my team, and making sure that we are deliberate in that branding that we created for ourselves and that we're intentional about it every day. So that's the work that's ahead of us now.
Yes, the hard part, right? I
That's
think
right.
the philosophical part's been done. It's now the execution, which is always the hard part.
Exactly.
Um, Rachel, you have shared so much, not just with me, but with all of our listeners today, and thank you so much. I think there's a lot of advice that everyone will already take, but just thinking about future advice for our listeners, and any advice you would share.
So first, let me say, Terry, thank you so much for this opportunity. I have had, like I said, many opportunities in my career to sponsor and mentor. It sounds like you're doing that as well. Other women who are coming through their career. I feel like that's something that we all should do. We're all going to be in different stages of our professional career, and at each stage, we have something that we can offer to the generation behind us, and that's super important to do. So I would encourage women everywhere to do that. Find somebody, find someone to pull up, to sponsor,
Mm-hmm.
to mentor, because we've all had that opportunity and we should be giving back. I would say really embrace this process and stop and reflect. I know everyone is so busy, but this is important because this will shape your career. So, first, claim it, define your brand. What is that piece that differentiates you? What is the characteristics that make you uniquely you? And then deliver it. Deliver it every single day, even on the hard days, because it will make a difference. So define, differentiate, deliver, and claim your personal brand.
I love it. Thank you so much. Honestly, a true visionary and someone that I think everyone will enjoy listening to. I've learned a lot in that 30-minute session. So I really appreciate it and just appreciate you joining us. So thanks, Rachel, again.
Thank you, Terry. Appreciate it.